Chapter 1361. Purple Mountain True Monarch vs. Duke Long. Swish, swish. Killing intent surged. Two figures flew rapidly between dream realms. Purple Mountain True Monarch against Duke Long. They were extremely fast, like meteors in the sky, but they were incredibly agile like snakes. Boom, boom, boom. As both sides fought, explosions could be heard. Waves of air currents crashed imposingly, but after getting to any dream realm, they dissipated. The two rank 8 Goo immortals fought. One was a first-generation split soul of spectral soul demon venerable, having cultivated for 100,000 years. The other was unknown in history, but was a legend of heavenly court, having quasi-rank 9 power. Undeniably, the fight between these two was the core and essence of this battle of the giant dream realm battle, and was the most intense. Heaven overseeing tower and Zhuo Yi Hui collided. It was far less important than the fight between those two. Purple Mountain True Monarch's eyes flickered with crystal purple light. His arms were stretched out as small rocks resembling charcoal appeared around his body. The rocks flew out and became larger in the air. The surface of the rocks burned with raging red flames. Thousands of fiery rocks charged at Duke Long like a meteorite storm. Duke Long took the attack head-on, not dodging that as the fiery rocks hit his body. He was surrounded by a light resembling a cloud. The cloud light did not move, but soon, Duke Long found that a fire was burning inside his mind. His thoughts were moving, but the fire was burning up these thoughts. The cloud light needed to be maintained by Duke Long. Thoughts about it were constantly created. Now that they were burned, this defense was gone. The fiery rocks thus landed harshly on Duke Long's body at once. There were loud sounds as fiery rocks landed on Duke Long's muscular and tall iron-like body. Like eggs, these fiery rocks broke and shattered, exploding as sparks poured out along with rock fragments. Duke Long continued to charge. His body had a terrifying accumulation of Dao marks. He also had defensive methods similar to Bai Chen Tian's wood armor and Feng Yuan's ghostly concealment. His aura was shocking, like a wild dragon in human form. He endured Purple Mountain True Monarch's attacks as he moved unceasingly. His dragon eyes were cold and indifferent. Duke Long had no expression except a cold look. He did not frown. Purple Mountain True Monarch's immortal killer move seemed like a gust of wind, harmless and weak. Duke Long had a very powerful disposition. Purple Mountain True Monarch was a wisdom path Goo immortal. He focused on his tactic. He retreated as he fought. The fiery rocks could do nothing to Duke Long. But Purple Mountain True Monarch was smirking. He stretched out his left index finger, pointing at Duke Long who was chasing after him. Immediately, flowers bloomed on Duke Long's body. Countless flowers grew out of nowhere. Fresh flowers blossomed. Thousands of them covered Duke Long's body. Duke Long had a strong body with shocking defense, but when the flowers bloomed, his expression finally changed. Consecutive move. For the first time, Duke Long stopped his chase as he floated in the air. Even though he was flying at a rapid speed, he could immediately stop moving. Anyone would sigh at his amazing movement method and his incredibly strong physique. The flowers were blooming at an increasing rate on Duke Long's body. The petals were tender and fragile, but they were a huge problem to Duke Long. Duke Long stretched out his right hand. He grabbed into a fist, and after a while, opened his hand. Poof! With an explosive sound, his right hand burst out with countless faint pale air currents. These air currents were like threads flying in the sky, circulating around Duke Long's entire body continuously. Waves of air currents were like sharp blades, getting rid of the flowers on his body at once. Flower petals floated in the air. As these flowers were eradicated, the air currents seemed weak, but were extremely sharp. After a few breaths of time, the flowers on Duke Long were all wiped out. Purple Mountain True Monarch saw this, and his pupils shrunk. Duke Long's killer move was incredibly sharp. It was not about the mass of the air currents, but the technique involved in manipulating them that was extremely profound. Originally, this was a method to deal with enemies, but Duke Long controlled it for use on himself. If he was careless, he would get injured. But Duke Long was proficient and daring. He was extremely confident in this move. He could use it like moving his fingers. Many of the air currents grazed his skin and clothing, but he was completely unharmed. He had complete control of his actions. It was truly superb. However, with this amount of time, Purple Mountain True Monarch was ready with his move. Immortal Killer moves had difficulties in activation. If Zhao Lianyun was in Purple Mountain True Monarch's position, she might likely fail her activation of the killer move. But Purple Mountain True Monarch was incredibly experienced and resolute. He used this chance without doubt that an Immortal Killer move was activated. Illusions appeared, surrounding Purple Mountain True Monarch. There were dozens of purple light illusions. These illusions were still increasing. 1 turned into 4 while 4 turned into 10. They formed into a huge army. Purple Mountain True Monarch's true body was concealed as the purple light illusion army charged at Duke Long. Duke Long snorted coldly. His right hand turned into a dragon claw as he waved. Claw marks appeared in the air out of nowhere. They were several meters long. Everywhere they went, purple light illusions collapsed. Next, Duke Long's left hand also turned into a dragon claw. He slashed at another area as the marks extended, almost creating wounds in space. The purple light illusions were quickly eradicated. Duke Long's dragon eyes shined as a mystical light surrounded a secluded space. Purple Mountain True Monarch knew that his location was exposed. He came out. Both sides were standing in the air. With the backdrop of countless messy dream realms, they were 1,000 steps apart. It seems that after such a long time of sleeping, you're still able to keep up with the times. Purple Mountain True Monarch said plainly. He was a wisdom path Gu immortal. His long robe was fluttering as his purple hair swayed. His gaze was focused, and he was in his top condition. I practiced a bit recently. The times are always changing. There were too many geniuses in the last million years. There are simply too many new, incredible methods now. Duke Long sighed. He sighed before continuing. All right, enough with these petty tricks. The probing is over. Let's use our real methods now. Purple Mountain True Monarch smiled, nodding. Indeed. At the next moment, both of them collided like 2 flashes of lightning. Boom, boom, boom. Dazzling rainbow lights shone like fireworks. When used, the surrounding dream realms became even more illusory and enchanting. These 2 fellows, seriously. Fang Yuan was observing the battlefield with the Super Gu formation. After observing Purple Mountain True Monarch's and Duke Long's fight, Fang Yuan was speechless. Both of them are rank 8 Gu immortals, and not ordinary ones at that. They are simply too strong. Normally speaking, when Gu immortals first fight, they would use Mortal Gu and Mortal Killer moves. Only when they fight seriously will they use Immortal Gu and Immortal Killer moves. But these 2 directly used Immortal Killer moves to probe each other. These 2 have at least great Grandmaster attainment level. Be it the fiery rocks, flowers, or the air currents and cloud light, they are all mimicry of other paths. If I do not use Reverse Flow Protection Seal, I would lose terribly in one move. So intense. The 2 of them are fighting with greater intensity now. Their firepower has increased. Information was very important to Gu immortals. Fang Yuan used the Super Gu formation to observe them. He had huge gains that be it Purple Mountain True Monarch or Duke Long. Fang Yuan was not their match. Even if he used Reverse Flow Protection Seal, he would only passively take a beating. As a matter of fact, during the Battle of Northern Plains Reverse Flow River, Fang Yuan was able to escape because of the chaotic situation. Eventually, Fang Yuan used the regional wall to escape from Dogtail life, extending Ferret Mao Li Chiu. With my own strength, it is hard to escape from such a situation. Hope is slim. Fang Yuan's frown deepened. This moment. His expression changed. It turned out that in his immortal aperture, an information path, Gu Worm brought words from Wu Yong. Wu Yong did not die. Xiao Zhikai and Tai Mian Shun are alive too. They are only trapped for the time being. They are trying to get here with an immortal Gu house. Wu Yong told Fang Yuan to hold on, and hold on to his life. It was fine even if he escaped. He even told Fang Yuan that Qi clan's first supreme elder, Qi Chuyu, was also bringing an immortal Gu house here as backup, but he was still farther away than Wu Yong. Not just the 2 of them. The other super forces also sent their immortal Gu houses. Southern Border's Righteous Path super clans were in conflict. But after hearing Wu Yong's words about the giant dream realm situation, they immediately went into ceasefire and worked together, gathering and moving towards the giant dream realm. Looking at the entirety of Southern Border from a bird's eye view, Etion Mountain was at the center of Southern Border towards the west. while the super forces were scattered in all directions, all heading towards the center. Fang Yuan had a complex expression if he was Wu Yihai. Upon hearing this, he would be overjoyed and have improved morale. But he was not. He was Fang Yuan. Once southern borders reinforcements came, Heavenly Court would expose his identity. Chaos would ensue. Fang Yuan would be all alone. As for Wu Yong, Fang Yuan's side, this brother, his biggest backer, would turn into an extremely strong enemy, chasing after him in the future. Fang Yuan killed the real Wu Yihai. Even if Wu Yong did not care about his brother and did not want revenge, because of his righteous path status, he needed to take revenge and kill Fang Yuan. One could say, Fang Yuan and Wu Yong had an unresolvable conflict. Wu clan actually had another immortal Gu house. Wu Yong was really good at concealing himself, but even though he is very fast, as the closest reinforcement around, he still needs at least a day to get here. Fang Yuan rapidly calculated. When the reinforcements arrived and Heavenly Court exposed Fang Yuan's identity, would he be able to escape amidst the chaos? Chapter 1362. For now, cooperate. Chapter 1362. For now, cooperate. Hope was slim. It was a chaotic three-way battle now. Heavenly Court's forces were number 1. Shadow Sect was number 2 because of their rank 8 battle strengths. Purple Mountain True Monarch and Zhuoyi Hui, Southern Border's Righteous Path forces were 3rd. Even with the Super Gu formation, it was stationary, and even Fairy Z Wei's star constellation chessboard could infiltrate it.as for Fang Yuan. He was a Southern Border Righteous Path member on the surface, but the truth was, he was closer to Shadow Sect's side. He was a unique person. Based on the battle situation, Heavenly Court and Southern Border's Righteous Path were attacking Shadow Sect. Shadow Sect was unable to rival Heavenly Court. Now that they were attacked by another side, they were in the worst position. One day. It takes at least one day to get here. In this current situation, if the situation continues like this, I cannot hold on until then. Moreover, once Shadow Sect falls, Heavenly Court and Southern Border's Righteous Path would deal with me, the traitor, together. Shadow Sect's loss is just one aspect. This Super Gu formation is also unable to hold on for a day. Fang Yuan retracted his gaze. He looked at this Super Gu formation worriedly. Because of Qi Chuyu's design, this Super Gu formation's second layer could only be controlled by one person, others were useless. Thus, even if Fang Yuan intended to recall the Southern Border Righteous Path Gu Immortals, they were unable to resist Fairy Z Wei's invasion. Moreover, Fang Yuan's identity was a problem. If these Southern Border Gu Immortals learned about Fang Yuan's true identity from Heavenly Court, regardless of whether they believed it or not, or whatever action they take, it meant there would be unknown danger for Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had naturally thought of the first layer of the Gu formation. This Super Gu formation had 4 layers. Fang Yuan was only controlling the second layer. There was still a first layer. If Fairy Z Wei succeeded, Fang Yuan would destroy the second layer of the Gu formation. In theory, he could activate the first layer and resist her. But, according to Qi Gui's information path Gu Worm, the user of this first layer must be a Qi clan Gu immortal. This was Qi Chuyu's personal arrangement. From his perspective, he naturally placed his clan's benefits first. The first layer of the Gu formation had many ways to detect identities. Fang Yuan could disguise himself if it was bloodline. But unfortunately for him, one of the methods was about Life Tablet Gu and Soul Lantern Gu. Fang Yuan did not leave any Life Tablet Gu or Soul Lantern Gu in Qi clan. Regarding this, Fang Yuan could only sigh. He cursed helplessly in his mind. Qi Chuyu, this old dog. A rank 8 Gu immortal. How could he be simple? When Qi Chuyu designed it, he naturally did not think of this complex situation. But now, it was Fang Yuan's greatest restriction. It was like a dead end. Fang Yuan was getting closer and closer to it. But Qi Chuyu's move was undoubtedly the best one he could have made. It was a huge assurance to Qi clan. Fang Yuan had to ensure that Qi clan's Gu immortals did not die out completely, especially Qi Gui. If anything dangerous happened, he needed to teleport him back using the Super Gu formation. With Qi Gui, there would be the first layer of the Gu formation. As for what attitude Qi Gui would have and how he would treat Fang Yuan, it was a mystery. Unless he was completely helpless, Fang Yuan would not make use of Qi Gui. The situation was complex. 3 sides were fighting. Fang Yuan had a special status. Even though he was in the southern border righteous path camp, it was not reliable. There were too many variables now. He was using wisdom path methods too. Fang Yuan's mind was full of churning thoughts. His brain was going to emit smoke at this rate. How could he escape? This was an unsolved problem. Spring. Autumn cicada. A thought appeared in Fang Yuan's mind before he denied the possibility he could not use spring autumn cicada no matter what heaven's will was inside it. The risk of failure was nearly certain. A few times, Fang Yuan was able to rebirth successfully because of the secret help of heaven's will. But now, he was standing on the opposite side. Heaven's will wanted to eradicate him. Using spring autumn cicada to rebirth in this situation was simply deluding himself. The heaven's will and spring autumn cicada would directly kill him. Using spring autumn cicada was suicide, unless he used shadow sex method to reverse refine it. But now, how could Fang Yuan find time for that? Wait, no. I can use time path methods to accelerate the time of my immortal aperture. This way, I can give up the super goo formation and hide inside my immortal aperture to refine spring autumn cicada. No, this won't do. There are calamities and tribulations. If I accelerate the immortal aperture's time, calamities and tribulations will descend. Heaven's will would control them and make it much more difficult. And my time path attainment level is too low. I have no guarantee in this to successfully purify spring autumn cicada under such restrictions. And this method requires me to give up the super goo formation. It is simply an idiotic way of crippling myself. This would not do. Fate was too vicious, as if there was no way to survive. But Fang Yuan did not give up. He continued to persevere. His determination did not waver, even though his pressure was intense. Even though Fairy Ziwei had not stopped her invasion of the super goo formation. Persevere. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with vigor. He was not afraid. He was very calm in his mind. This was not his first desperate situation. In fact, he had many such encounters in this world, cultivating and fighting for one's life. No matter what choices one made, there were risks involved. Once one started moving up, like climbing a mountain, how could there be gains and growth without any risks? Even the powerful old ancestor Shuehu, the #1 battle strength in Northern Plains, publicly, had taken a risk, causing Snowy Mountain, hundreds of years of his hard work, to be destroyed. His plan of refining fortune rivaling heaven completely failed. Reverse Flow River was taken away, and even his wife, Lady Wan Shou, was injured. Her look at Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals, by Chun Tian and Wei Ling Yang. These rank 8 great experts. They were such high and mighty existences. But in the end, they died in another region. Even their ruined corpses were lost, unable to return home. And Sword Immortal Bo Qing, as well as Feng Jiugu, who died from attacking Langya blessed land back in the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life. Fang Yuan was not Ma Hongyun. He was not the child of luck, compared to everyone above. He was extremely ordinary. In fact, Ma Hongyun died too. Even with fortune rivaling heaven's protection, heaven and earth were impartial, treating all beings as pawns. No matter how talented one was, or how extraordinary the Gu Immortal was, in this world, they were just a life form, ordinary and simple. They were all treated equally. His 500 years of experience, compared to heaven and earth, what could it amount to? His experience and deep schemes were just the result of having experienced the callous nature of this world, and having understood the ways of human minds. Humans had limits, who had never made a mistake. Even rank 9 venerables were no exception. Even Rinzhu was deceived by wisdom Gu. Conversely, heaven's will was vast. It controlled the situation. The power of heaven and earth was limitless. Defying heaven as a human, how hard was that? Such feelings were not just in Fang Yuan's heart. Ing Wuxia felt very similarly. He was fighting. His enemy was a rank 7 righteous path Gu Immortal at this moment. The rank 6 immortal zombie, Ing Wuxia, had the disadvantage. Even though he had incredible immortal killer moves, his opponent was so strong. Ing Wuxia was just barely able to stay on par with him. After an intense chaotic battle, Ing Wuxia was left to fight alone. The situation was dangerous. Soul Beast Summoning. Ing Wuxia unleashed his immortal killer move, 3 ancient soul beasts surrounded his body again. But his enemy, a Xia clan rank 7 Gu immortal, laughed mockingly. Not long ago, when he first faced the soul beast summoning killer move, he was flustered. But now, after gaining experience, the Xia clan Gu immortal found a way to counter the ancient soul beasts, using the dream realms. Ancient soul beasts had low intelligence. With just some schemes, the Xia clan Gu immortal was able to lure these soul beasts towards dream realms. Once the soul entered the dream realm, they were meat on the chopping block. Soul beasts were souls that became solid bodies. Making full use of the battlefield was part of the qualities that made up a Gu immortal's battle strength. Soon, the ancient soul beasts that xianxia painstakingly summoned were dealt with by the Xia clan Gu immortal. xianxia smiled bitterly on the inside. He could not get free. He had to rely on external help now. But at this moment, his expression froze. He received Sixth Hair's letter. Feng Yuan wanted to cooperate with Shadow Sect. Ever since Purple Mountain True Monarch awakened and took over control, he had contacted Feng Yuan, asking to work together. Unfortunately, Feng Yuan had been wary of Shadow Sect's information path methods. Even though they had their respective needs, they did not make any progress in cooperation. xianxia did not expect that Feng Yuan would seek cooperation with Shadow Sect now. It's too late. The bitterness in xianxia's heart intensified. Too late, it was too late. He did not know where Feng Yuan was, but Shadow Sect had already started the mission to save the main body. Sixth Hair transmitted that Feng Yuan needed an information path Gu worm to communicate with xianxia. Feng Yuan could not interact with Shadow Sect directly. They needed Sixth Hair as the middleman. This was because communication information path Gu came in pairs. This way, clues to each other's whereabouts were left behind. It was easy to deduce their locations from this. Give it to him. xianxia thought and did not reject it. Next, Feng Yuan's voice resounded in xianxia's mind. You are in a sorry state. xianxia, the Xia clan immortal, is about to kill you. What about lead soul into dream? Aren't you using it? xianxia heard these words and his eyes widened. He was extremely shocked. Feng Yuan, he transmitted. You are here in this battlefield? What do you think? Feng Yuan chuckled. Stop using soul beast summoning randomly. You have already used it 3 times. The effect is getting worse. You are only increasing the risk and wasting your immortal essence. xianxia shook. Feng Yuan, you are here indeed. Damn it, you actually made your way in? Since when? Wait, is my opponent you? If that was me, you would be dead already. Enough idle chatter, let's. Feng Yuan paused. Cooperate. Chapter 1363, Biggest Traitor in Southern Border's Righteous Path. Chapter 1363, Biggest Traitor in Southern Border's Righteous Path, Cooperation. Hearing Feng Yuan's suggestion, a complex expression appeared on xianxia's face uncontrollably. Feng Yuan's and Shadow Sect's relationship was very intertwined and complex, as a half-otherworldly demon. Feng Yuan was once Heaven's Will's tool, sent back to destroy Shadow Sect's plan in a last-ditch attempt. Feng Yuan, who successfully obtained the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, was enemies with Shadow Sect. They were at a complete conflict. During the Battle of Etion Mountain, Shadow Sect lost entirely. They wanted to tear Feng Yuan to pieces, but Feng Yuan made good use of his time and the advantage of the Sovereign Immortal body to get stronger. He started to hunt xianxia and ganged. If xianxia and the others did not have a good grasp of time or excellent methods to escape, they would have died at Feng Yuan's hands already. After the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Feng Yuan was already able to match rank 8 Gu immortals. Shadow Sect was now led by Purple Mountain True Monarch. They changed their tactics, seeking cooperation with Feng Yuan. This was a crucial turning point in their relationship. Precisely because of this, at this moment, when Feng Yuan initiated the cooperation, xianxia nodded, replying, "Then let's work together." xianxia was not against working together, or rather, he was once against and hated the idea when Purple Mountain True Monarch mentioned it. He did not understand why. But people changed that if this was during the Battle of Etion Mountain. xianxia was new to life. He knew nothing. He would not consider working with his enemy. When Shadow Sect was strong, Feng Yuan was weak as an ant. xianxia would never work with Feng Yuan. After losing in Yitian Mountain, Ing Wuxia hated Fang Yuan. There was no way for them to cooperate. Ing Wuxia only wanted to regain Shadow Sect's former glory, but as Fang Yuan grew stronger and went after Ing Wuxia multiple times, Ing Wuxia started to feel deep wariness in his heart. Recently, when Fang Yuan chased them to northern plains, other than wariness, Ing Wuxia also felt fear towards Fang Yuan. After the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Ing Wuxia developed a new emotion towards Fang Yuan. That was admiration. Fang Yuan did what Ing Wuxia was unable to do. He was truly worthy of being chosen by Heaven's will to return to the past and disrupt Shadow Sect's plans. It is not that I am not strong, but that my enemy is Fang Yuan. Ing Wuxia had such a thought and realized that his losses were not that unacceptable. How are we going to cooperate? I can't hang on anymore, Ing Wuxia said directly. Fang Yuan frowned. Ing Wuxia had a very direct attitude. Fang Yuan was slightly surprised. Of course I will help you people first. Heavenly Court is too strong. There is only hope if we work together. Fang Yuan sighed, transmitting to the Xia Clan Gu immortal who was fighting Ing Wuxia. Retreat? Why must I retreat? I already know about my enemy's weaknesses. I can win this. The Xia Clan Gu immortal was very confused. A Yao Clan Gu immortal is in great danger. You need to help him. Quickly go. I am overseeing the entire battlefield. How can you understand the big picture like me? Fang Yuan said without politeness. The Xia Clan Gu immortal was very unhappy, but because of Wu Yihai's status and the fact that he was in control of the Super Gu formation, he snorted in his mind before leaving. How are you going to help me? Quickly do something, Ing Wuxia urged, but suddenly his eyes widened as he looked at his opponent in shock. He retreated while having a discontent gaze at Ing Wuxia, rapidly flying away. Stop making a fuss. I already helped you, Fang Yuan said at an appropriate timing. Ing Wuxia's heart shook, asking, Didn't you say that was not you? Is he one of your subordinates? Enough pointless chatter. Tell me, what is Shadow Sect's plan? Don't tell me you have no backup plans. Fang Yuan immediately asked. Ing Wuxia smiled bitterly, replying, Of course we do. Our backup is me. Rumble. An intense explosion occurred. From the raging air currents, Purple Mountain True Monarch flew out of the endless profound lights as he charged down. Why are you escaping? Fight me. Behind him, Duke Long chased. His long hair was fluttering. His muscular body had changed. Not only were his dragon horns sharper and longer now, his hands had turned into dragon claws. His dragon tail was waving behind him. His skin was covered with a layer of dragon scales. Purple Mountain True Monarch looked pathetic, but his gaze was clear like water. Duke Long. History states that he cultivated Chi Path primarily, but because of his lacking lifespan, he also cultivated Transformation Path. Purple Mountain True Monarch analyzed in his mind. Just his Transformation Path methods are already so powerful, as expected of someone on par with Bo Qing. Let him try this move. Thinking of this, Purple Mountain True Monarch's body shook. He turned around agilely, flying upwards at the same time. His 10 fingers fluttered like he was playing a zither. Swish, swish, swish. An endless stream of purple starlight specks shot out of his fingers, piercing through space and attacking Duke Long. These starlight specks were extremely dazzling. Not only were they fast, they flew in the air with a trail of light behind them. It was extremely beautiful. Duke Long grunted. He felt that. These purple starlight specks were not simple. He quickly used his attacking methods against them. But these purple starlight specks were very agile. They quickly dodged Duke Long's attacks as they aimed directly at him. Duke Long saw this and praised in his mind. As expected of a wisdom path cultivator, his immortal killer moves are agile and nimble, especially this move. It is extremely refined. I cannot compare to him in this aspect. Wisdom Path Gu immortals had endless thoughts. They were most skilled in controlling immortal killer moves and creating attacks of varying styles. Why must I get bogged down? It is wiser to make use of my advantages. Duke Long ignored these purple starlight specks, using his powerful defense to take on the starlight specks and charging ahead fearlessly. Seeing this, mysterious light shined in Purple Mountain True Monarch's eyes. He finally fell into my trap. It turned out that his move had a hidden effect. Upon contact with any immortal killer move, it would transmit some fragmented information to Purple Mountain True Monarch. Countless fragmented pieces of information would combine and expose the secrets of the immortal killer move. With enough information, Purple Mountain True Monarch would be able to target Duke Long's defensive method and retaliate against it. Duke Long's offensive approach after confirming the power of the Purple Starlight specs suited Purple Mountain True Monarch's tactic. Purple Mountain True Monarch had always been feeling troubled by Duke Long's defense. After getting enough information, Purple Mountain True Monarch used a new immortal killer move. He pushed with both palms as large amounts of cloud mist appeared, blocking Duke Long from advancing. Duke Long's dragon eyes flickered with sharp light. After looking at it, he instantly saw the power of this immortal killer move that he laughed heartily as he charged into the purple mist. Instantly, he lost his sense of direction entirely. Duke Long immediately stopped, staying motionless as he opened his mouth, emitting a loud dragon roar. The dragon roar reverberated in the entire area. The purple mist became thinner until it faded away. Duke Long saw Purple Mountain True Monarch again. He was still retreating, attempting to pull away from Duke Long. Duke Long laughed. His figure vanished and appeared before Purple Mountain True Monarch instantly. "Eat my fist," Duke Long shouted loudly, striking with his right fist directly. This was not an immortal killer move that in such a short time. Duke Long had to maintain his concentration on his various defensive killer moves. He did not activate any other immortal killer moves. But with his physical toughness, his normal fist had incredible offensive power. Bam! Purple Mountain True Monarch could not dodge in time. He was directly hit by Duke Long's fist, but his chest that was punched flickered with profound light. His body was basically unharmed. Purple Mountain True Monarch had incredible defensive methods too. Purple Mountain True Monarch was uninjured from Duke Long's punch. He even used the force of the fist to accelerate his retreat backwards. But at the next moment, Duke Long appeared beside Purple Mountain True Monarch again, punching. Bam! The same scene appeared again, but Duke Long chased relentlessly. No matter where Purple Mountain True Monarch flew to, he could instantly teleport over and punch. With his fists, Duke Long's punches rained down endlessly. Countless fist shadows enshrouded Purple Mountain True Monarch. Purple Mountain True Monarch was like a rubber ball, thrown around by Duke Long constantly. He was taking a beating without being able to retaliate. Purple Mountain True Monarch was flickering with profound light, defending against Duke Long's fists. Soon, Duke Long's punches were no longer so simple. Chaotic Dragon Fist, an immortal killer move, was activated, but the effect was low. Duke Long thought, "My Chaotic Dragon Fist will cause the thoughts in my enemy's mind to become chaotic if it hits. With a flurry of punches, my opponents will not be able to think. They will only take hits passively." But this effect does not appear on him at all. At Duke Long's level, he can already achieve the traits of other paths. Duke Long's Transformation Path killer move had Wisdom Path effects, but when it was used on a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal, Purple Mountain True Monarch, it was simply child's play. Duke Long could punch his other enemies with death with Chaotic Dragon Fist, but against Purple Mountain True Monarch, he only had the upper hand. While Duke Long was probing Purple Mountain True Monarch's Wisdom Path attainment, Purple Mountain True Monarch was also analyzing Duke Long. Even though he was taking hits, he was calm in his mind, with no hint of panic. Wisdom Path had three aspects: thoughts, wills, and emotions. Purple Mountain True Monarch had methods to eliminate his negative emotions in battle. Duke Long's movement is evidently an immortal killer move, allowing him to teleport continuously. Inside his dragon eyes, there is another immortal killer move with powerful investigative effects. With my initial deduction, his teleportation does not depend on where he looks. Don't tell me. Chapter 1364, Duke Long Enters Dream. At the next moment, Purple Mountain True Monarch snapped his fingers. An immortal killer move was used. Purple halo spread to the range of thousands of steps. Duke Long's figure came to a stop. He could no longer use teleportation to get close to Purple Mountain True Monarch. He saw through it. That reaction speed is really fast. Wisdom Path Gu Immortals are as troublesome as always. Duke Long stopped his attacks, sighing. His movement killer move was used with the Dragon Roar earlier. Wherever the Dragon Roar reached, he could teleport over using the killer move. But there was a time limit. Purple Mountain True Monarch saw through this and used his Wisdom Path methods to mimic the effect of Sound Path, cleansing his surroundings. Duke Long's movement method could no longer be used. It was ineffective. In that case, try this move. Duke Long opened his mouth in the air. Two teeth fell out. They grew larger with the moving wind. In an instant, his 2 teeth became snow-white dragon fangs that resembled curved blades. Duke Long breathed in deeply, and after a few breaths of time, used his immortal killer move, Spiraling Dragon Fang. 2 snow-white dragon fangs shot out rapidly. The speed far surpassed Purple Mountain True Monarch, rapidly approaching him. The 2 curved dragon fang blades spiraled around Purple Mountain True Monarch. Each time they hit, there was a dazzling sharp light on Purple Mountain True Monarch's body. Trying to use this method to restrain me? Dragon fangs, they are solid. This is different from normal killer moves. Purple Mountain True Monarch felt his pressure intensifying. The power of the dragon fangs was no small matter. Purple Mountain True Monarch quickly realized that he had to deal with this immortal killer move. Lord Purple has already used his personal methods, but he is still suppressed by Duke Long. Xianxia flew as he observed Purple Mountain True Monarchs and Duke Long's battle. He had a good angle of the battle. In this complex battlefield, he could actually watch the battle of 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals. The moment, the 2 were still probing. Evidently, Duke Long was stronger than Purple Mountain True Monarch. In terms of battle strength, Duke Long was on par with Bo Qing. Purple Mountain True Monarch was naturally weaker, even though the latter actually had peak rank 8 battle strength. Lord Purple's strength will continue to weaken, because he is constantly using the immortal killer move to create more defective pure dream reality seeker physique bodies and clear the dream realm. During this process, he would need to split his own soul. It is extremely painful. Xianxia watched with worry. Purple Mountain True Monarch was not Duke Long's match to begin with, but he still had to create pure dream reality seeker physique bodies now. By the time Purple Mountain True Monarch's methods were fully understood by Duke Long, he would lose. Quick, quick, quick. Xianxia urged himself. He would not tell this to Fang Yuan, of course. Even though they were working together, they did not set any information path agreements. Xianxia did not trust Fang Yuan fully, but if they wanted to set an agreement, the situation did not allow them to. And even if they could, Fang Yuan would not do it. Both sides wanted to cooperate, but they did not trust each other. But because of the enemy, Heavenly Court, they had to work together. Found it. Towards your southeast, there is a cocoon of light about to form. Get there quickly. At this time, Fang Yuan transmitted. Xianxia looked in that direction and felt hesitant. If he followed Fang Yuan's instructions, he had to get deep into the territory of Southern Border's Righteous Path. There were many Southern Border Righteous Path Gu Immortals there. Was Fang Yuan reliable? Was this a trap? Xianxia could not help but hesitate. If I wanted to harm you, you would have died earlier. Fang Yuan transmitted, as if he knew what Xianxia was thinking. Xianxia had to admit that Fang Yuan was right, but he thought, maybe Fang Yuan doesn't want me dead and wants to capture me alive? If he wants to capture me, he would need to make arrangements. Is there a Gu formation or a battlefield killer move there? But this time, Xianxia shook his head, no longer hesitating that he wanted to gamble this moment. He had to gamble. Following Fang Yuan's instructions, he flew. Soon, he saw a Southern Border Righteous Path Gu Immortal. Damn it. Xianxia's heart jumped. The Southern Border Righteous Path Gu Immortal also found him. But when he was about to pounce on Xianxia, his face changed. After hesitating, he flew away with a complex expression. Why did that happen? Xianxia was shocked. This was the second time. Was he also Fang Yuan's subordinate? If so, why did he have that expression? He strangely looked unwilling and slightly angry. Xianxia was getting more confused. He continued to move forward and met with the third person, and then a fourth. The 2 Southern Border Righteous Path Gu Immortals he met also left him alone. This was naturally Fang Yuan's manipulation. Using the excuse of the big picture, he sent all those Southern Border Righteous Path Gu Immortals away with simple reasons. For example, that place needs you more. An ally is in danger. If you do not go, they will die. And ignore that rank 6 immortal zombie. I have sent others to deal with him ahead. All sorts of reasons allowed Xianxia to move unhindered. Nobody would expect Wu Yihai to work with Shadow Sect. Among the Righteous Path Gu Immortals in Southern Border, who would think of that? At this time, Heavenly Court had not yet exposed Feng Yuan's true identity. With Feng Yuan's help, Ing Wuxie got closer to his destination. There is actually a cocoon of light here. Rank 7 expert Yi Ting had a sudden discovery. His body flickered with lightning, bringing his body towards the cocoon. Stop it! Ing Wuxie, who had just arrived, suddenly shouted out loud that Yi Ting felt strange. Who is this? He actually made it here. Ing Wuxie's yell did not disrupt him. He was already very close to the light cocoon. He was about to succeed. But at the next moment, Yi Ting's vision changed. He was forcefully teleported by the Super Gu formation. Lord Wu Yihai. I was about to. Yi Ting realized this and suddenly bellowed. He was truly a hindrance rather than help. He was clearly about to succeed. I know, but another place needs you more. Don't worry. I have already noticed the enemy by the cocoon. I will deal with it. Feng Yuan interrupted Yi Ting's words that Yi Ting wanted to say more, but his vision changed. He was teleported out again to another place. This Wu Yihai, he thinks he can use me as a pawn because he controls the Gu formation? Yi Ting was extremely unhappy, but he did not suspect Feng Yuan's true intentions. Feng Yuan did not randomly teleport him, because around him, there was a southern border Gu immortal about to die from Fairy Miao in. Yi Ting quickly entered the battle, forgetting about the displeasure towards Feng Yuan. Ing Wuxie felt like he was in a dream. Seeing that Yi Ting was about to succeed, he almost despaired. But at the next moment, he went from hell to heaven. This change was too sudden. He was overjoyed. Ing Wuxie was a little dazed. But when he came to his senses, he contacted Feng Yuan with his information path Gu worm, crying out, You actually control the entire Super Gu formation. What is your current identity? Feng Yuan knew this could not be concealed. He exposed it. Who else? I am currently Wu Yihai. Ing Wuxie heard this. His eyes almost popped out. This answer was too stunning. Since when and what methods did Feng Yuan use to get to this position? After accepting this fact, Ing Wuxie understood everything. No wonder those southern border righteous path Gu immortals gave way to him. Ing Wuxie thought that their expressions were rather funny now. But soon, he felt some worry. Feng Yuan has unraveled dream. Staying here for so long without any detection, he definitely has a huge scheme. He definitely made great gains. So close. If not for Lord Purple's plan to catch the righteous path off guard, Feng Yuan might have been able to continue staying here for a long time. It would be a huge problem for Shadow Sect. Ing Wuxie's emotions were changing, from shock to realization and to worry. He finally reached the cocoon of light. This aura, a rank 7 cocoon. Ing Wuxie was excited. How can I choose wrongly? What are you waiting for? Feng Yuan laughed. Ing Wuxie nodded, using his immortal killer move. This killer move took effect rapidly. In an instant, the cocoon that had not formed yet stabilized completely and took shape. Ing Wuxie's soul and Gu worms entered the cocoon of light. Meanwhile, his rank 6 immortal zombie body was abandoned. The cocoon of light broke apart as a rank 7 Ing Wuxie appeared. Don't resist, I will send you off. Feng Yuan's voice entered Ing Wuxie's mind again. The next moment, Ing Wuxie was teleported away, watching Duke Long and Purple Mountain True Monarchs battle again. Without hesitation, Ing Wuxie used his trump card, Immortal Killer Move, Lead Soul into Dream. Ugh. Duke Long's expression changed. In an instant, he was dragged into a dream. The next moment, he lost contact with the outside world. Purple Mountain True Monarch was stunned. What is going on? A scheme. But next, he received Ing Wuxie's transmission. I am here, Lord Purple. I am a rank 7 Dream Path Gu immortal now. Good. Purple Mountain True Monarch was overjoyed. This trump card was finally activated. After some hurdles, I obtained this immortal body due to Feng Yuan's help. He is currently acting as Wu Yihai. He is controlling the Super Gu formation of Southern Border's righteous path. He wants to cooperate with you. Oh, Purple Mountain True Monarch's eyes shined brightly. Excellent. Send my information path Gu worm to him. We need to talk. With Feng Yuan and Shadow Sect starting their cooperation, the situation finally appeared to be turning around. Chapter 1365, Star Constellation Heavens Will Appears. Chapter 1365, Star Constellation Heavens Will Appears. Duke Long entered a dream. xianxia had a rank 7 immortal body. He burst out with great strength, changing the battle situation between two rank 8 Gu immortals. Duke Long fell into a dream realm and could not escape. Purple Mountain True Monarch used this great chance to retaliate. Rumble, explosions continued unceasingly, but countless dragon shadows appeared on Duke Long's body. There were also countless dragon-shaped tattoos moving around his skin. Such an amazing defensive killer move. Purple Mountain True Monarch could not do anything to Duke Long for the time being. Similar to Purple Mountain True Monarch, Duke Long had a lot of defensive methods. Among them were incredibly useful killer moves. These killer moves were like the wood armor that Bai Chun Tian was so proud of. This type of killer move turned into Dao marks and became engraved on the Gu Immortal's body. They were normally dormant, but when attacked, they would activate themselves and would not need any thoughts for manipulation, only using immortal essence. This was somewhat like Fang Yuan's Ghostly Concealment. Ghostly Concealment was a top-tier killer move created by thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. But this move was much more refined than Bai Chun Tian's wood armor or Duke Long's and Purple Mountain True Monarch's defensive methods, because Ghostly Concealment not only melded with oneself and had an active effect all the time. Most importantly, it did not cost any of the Gu Immortal's immortal essence, the killer move that was active permanently without using any immortal essence. This was a supreme method of thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. From the perspective of Central Continent's 10 great sects and Fang Yuan, it was unthinkable. They had no way of understanding such a mystical method. Swish, swish. Two white lights were spiraling and landing on Purple Mountain True Monarch's body. It was the spiraling Dragon Fang killer move that Duke Long had used earlier. After the two flashes of light burst out, the two dragon fangs met with no success, but they still circled around Purple Mountain True Monarch, ready for an opportunity. This killer move also needs no manipulation from the Gu Immortal. Troublesome. Purple Mountain True Monarch frowned slightly, but thankfully, I have been keeping Purple Thought Perception Starlight activated. Purple Mountain True Monarch let out a loud shout as countless starlight specks emerged from the pores of his body. Starlight specks flew around Duke Long. They gathered, shooting at Duke Long's layers of defense and being broken continuously. But soon, all sorts of information was transmitted into Purple Mountain True Monarch's mind. Quickly kill him. xianxia observed the battle from afar, calling out in his mind, I in the Super Gu formation. Fang Yuan was also watching Purple Mountain True Monarch's battle closely. Truly unrepentant. Fallen demon, you are beyond saving. Fairy Ziwei's voice could be heard from the Super Gu formation again. Fang Yuan had helped xianxia and indirectly caused Duke Long to enter his dream. Fairy Ziwei saw all of these. However, if you think Lord Duke Long will fail because of this, you are completely wrong. Saying this, Fairy Ziwei actually laughed. I need to thank you. The many times you used the Super Gu formation allowed me to see many of the operations of the Super Gu formation. Haven't you noticed that you are gradually losing control of this Super Gu formation? Your invasion speed is getting faster, but there is no need to try and bluff me. Fang Yuan sneered. Fairy Ziwei was dazed. Even though you people came here imposingly, your true battle strength is only at this level. Fang Yuan's eyes shined brightly. The truth is, as long as another rank 8 Gu Immortal like you shows up, you would be able to sweep the battlefield. Unfortunately, Heaven Overseeing Tower did not send anyone else. Instead, you had to come here secretly to invade the Super Gu formation, and Duke Long had to go battle personally. Even though you know my true identity, you have not exposed me. My identity is still a secret. Other than having no evidence, your intention is to use the strength of Southern Border's righteous path to deal with Shadow Sect, right? And also, there is another reason. Even if you expose my identity and convince Southern Border's righteous path, this Super Gu formation will still be in my control. This crucial point will not change because of my identity. You came to the Super Gu formation in order to get this huge bargaining chip too. All these show that your heavenly court is putting up a false front. Your rank 8 battle strength is lacking. Fairy Ziwei went silent. She recalled the scene a few days ago. Back then, she was researching Star Constellation chessboard. This immortal Gu house had always been in Heavenly Court's treasury. After Duke Long woke up, he had the authority to take it out and let Fairy Ziwei use it. After interacting with and using it, Fairy Ziwei felt the supreme brilliance of this immortal goo house. This immortal goo house was indeed the wisdom path immortal goo house created by Lady Star Constellation Immortal. Venerable, it could actually allow my deduction ability to rise by many times. Thinking of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Fairy Ziwei had a look of admiration. Her wisdom path deduction ability was originally amazing. Now that it grew by several times, Fairy Ziwei felt as if this was an illusion of her being the #1 wisdom path immortal in the current world. It is a pity that even though my deductions are more powerful now, I still need crucial information. The clues are too few. It is hard to make deductions. Fairy Ziwei had a dim gaze. She thought about earlier, when Central Continent's Gu Immortals were pursued by old ancestor Shui Hu in Longevity Heaven. They managed to conceal the clues and prevent Fairy Ziwei from deducing the location of where the Central Continent Gu Immortals were trapped. The reinforcements thus had no place to go and could not be sent. She also thought about Feng Yuan. All along, Heavenly Court had been trying to kill this person, but they lacked the clues to him. When deducing, because Feng Yuan had preventive measures, he could always hold out and get informed of the deductions. Thus, Feng Yuan's whereabouts were not in Heavenly Court's grasp. Fairy Ziwei sighed eerily. But right at this moment, the star constellation chessboard in her hands started to absorb her immortal essence and activated on its own. A lump of heavens will gushed out of star constellation chessboard, floating in the air and turning into star constellation immortal Venerable's appearance. Seeing this, Fairy Ziwei was extremely shocked. Star Constellation chessboard was the possession of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, but she had died long ago. Fairy Ziwei was able to control this immortal goo house now. She was merely borrowing it. Ziwei, this is Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Why are you not paying respects? Duke Long arrived and stood behind Fairy Ziwei. But this is Heaven's will. Fairy Ziwei was a wisdom path Gu Immortal. She could naturally tell what this will was. Of course this is Heaven's will. You are too young, you do not know this secret. Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had assimilated with Heaven's will long ago. Even though her body is gone, her will resides in the world of the 5 regions. She is one with heaven and earth. Duke Long exposed some truly terrifying secrets. Fairy Ziwei was in a daze, feeling unparalleled shock. This means Star Constellation Immortal Venerable achieved eternal life? If Heaven's will is Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, then wouldn't the entire world be on Heavenly Court's side? But Duke Long shook his head. You should say, Heavenly Court is on the side of Heaven's will. After assimilating with Heaven's will, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable is no longer herself. This was a major and selfless sacrifice. Back then, for the sake of humanity, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable sacrificed herself to modify Heaven's will. Since then, Heaven's will gain the form of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, but it is still Heaven's will in essence. Fairy Ziwei's gaze flickered. She was a wisdom path Gu Immortal. She immediately understood. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had sacrificed herself for the entire human race. She assimilated with Heaven's will. The core of Heaven's will did not change, but some things were modified by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. For example, the form that it took, and maybe a hint of human-like concern towards Heavenly Court. This was perhaps the reason why Heavenly Court followed and executed the will of Heaven, and after countless eons, it was still standing strong. The great era is coming. The 5 regions will become one. Destiny has already reached a crucial point. Star Constellation Heaven's will spoke while stretching out her right hand on her right hand. A lump of Heaven's will flew out and floated in the air, turning into the form of Southern Border's Super Gu formation. Here, a crucial battle is about to unfold. The result of this battle will affect the entire world. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable is extremely weak. All of Shadow Sect will be gathered here. Feng Yuan is disguised as Wu Yihai, mixing in with Southern Border's righteous path. These are a bunch of fate-defying people, the source of all chaos and turmoil. Eliminating them will help towards the repairing of Fate Immortal Gu. However, Heavenly Court will only allow the 2 of you to fight this time. Star Constellation Heavens will said plainly, why? Fairy Ziwei did not understand. Heavenly Court had very deep foundations. Earlier in the Battle of Etion Mountain, they had found out too late, and the awakened Heavenly Court rank 8 Gu Immortals were not enough to turn the situation around. But now that they had the reminder of Star Constellation Heaven's will, time was ample. Heavenly Court had lots of time to prepare. Heavenly Court could totally gather its power and crush the enemies. But Star Constellation Heavens will told Fairy Ziwei and Duke Long that only the two of them could go. This is something fated to happen. After the Battle of Etion Mountain, the uncertainties of luck have greatly decreased. Now that Fate Immortal Gu is recovering, Fate is regaining control of the world. You will undoubtedly win this time. Do not bother the hibernating Gu Immortals in Heavenly Court. They serve a greater purpose. Heavenly Court's foundation cannot be weakened further, otherwise, the consequences will be severe. Bring Heaven Overseeing Tower and Star Constellation Chessboard. The Gu Immortals of Central Continent's 10 great sects should not be mobilized unnecessarily. Keep in mind to preserve their lives. In the next 10 years, Heaven Overseeing Tower will need even more rank 8 Gu Immortals to hibernate. Remember this. Star Constellation Heavens will give them many instructions. Fairy Ziwei obtained a lot of information, but she became much more confused now. She found out that even though she was a member of Heavenly Court, she, in fact, knew too little about it. Such a huge organization had deep foundations, but it could not use them recklessly like she had imagined before. Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals were hibernating. Other than to extend their lifespan, there seemed to be an even greater purpose.